It's -12 this morning, and I'm going to give this yet another starting challenge, see if it'll start just on its glow plugs. Now there's something very interesting about this, because this has still got probably Malawi fuel in it from Africa. Now in Canada, in wintertime, we have a different fuel that doesn't gel in the cold, so and it also starts an awful lot better. I don't know, they maybe just put a bit of petrol in it, I don't know. But let's see if it'll start. This isn't set up, by the way, this is just as it is. Obviously the timer's on a longer time. Indeed it does. Isn't that good? So, I don't think there's much wrong with that engine. And considering there ain't that much smoke coming out of it, I think it's a good one. Now, it's not got even, it hasn't even got winter oil in it. This will be on like 1540 or something like this. So, it's done remarkably well. And it sounds nice too. Now in my Isuzu, if I was to do this at this temperature, well, it wouldn't start anyway off the key, but it'll be hunting all the time, and I can't understand it. But what we're going to try and find out today is, where is that blue smoke coming from? I think I know, but first of all, yes, I've got to do my Yaris, because the handbrake cable's come off on my Yaris. I've just got to hook that back on, and then we'll be into action. We'll get this in the shop and get it warmed up, so I might just do it this afternoon. Because working on a cold car ain't no fun. See you later. If you can recall, on this Malawi 110, when I took it for a test drive, I said when I got to the top of the hill and put my foot on the brake, I said I know what's wrong with this. It was quite easy really putting two and two together, and I'm sure we've done it before, but I ain't got time to look through all my videos. Anyway, it's burning oil. The oil is getting through the rocker box, coming through here, through this breather, through this pipe, which goes into your air intake, which gets sucked into your turbo, that gets blown along this pipe here, through your intercooler, and into your engine. Correct? You see, it can't be the turbo leaking, because if it was the turbo leaking, here, this thing down here, you would get oil in here, but not at that side of the turbo, the intake side. There would be no oil at all in that side. Correct? Right. So now we know where we are. It's coming from the breather. But when I said the brakes didn't feel right and the pedal didn't feel right, I knew where I was. And a few of you have picked up, because you've had this problem once before. Shall I tell you what it is? It's the brake servo. And we're going to prove it. Because I don't just say things, I like to prove things here. I'm going to start the engine up, and I'm going to show you. This is me starting the engine up. Because I almost went to the other side again. Close your ears, don't be noisy. There ain't much wrong with this engine, but watch this. When I take the servo pipe off and put my finger over the end, look, you see, my finger's sticking on the end of the pipe. See? It's got good suction. If I just push it onto the end of the servo and then take it off, there's hardly any suction. problem with the servo. But how can I prove that? This will take a little bit of moving around. Come over here with me. Don't bump into everything. Right. Well, how can I show you this? Come here. Right. I want you to pay attention to here. Now what I've got down here, where is it now? Does this camera go down far enough? Oh, it doesn't. I'll maybe push that over there. Down there is a vacuum pump that I use for evacuating AC systems prior to putting gas into it. This is going to be an excellent little tool because with a bit of Rawson engineering, I've made an adapter that will go, using a nozzle off a caulking gun, to go into here. Oh, well, you can't see that now because it's the wrong side. But we're going to put this, oh, Bato vision. Right, wait a minute, we're going to put this into the servo, where the servo goes. Like that, look. No, which should I say, not where the servo goes, where the vacuum pump goes in. And we're going to turn this on. That was good, wasn't it? So now it's making vacuum. But watch. Of course, I've left my soap at the other side. Watch very carefully here. Come round here. Come on. Doesn't cost anything. Come here. Let's have a look. Let's have a zoom. There we go. Can you hear? It's pulling the soapy water in. It is a bit difficult to hear. You can hear it. You can hear it. Just to prove the point, we'll take out now the vacuum. That was it. Now, if it was holding vacuum, listen to the pump. There is either the O-ring's gone on here, or as I suspect, the casing's cracked. So, that's its problem. Let's rearrange this camera, we'll chat about this. So what's happening? The vacuum pump is acting like a compressor in reverse, because what the vacuum pump does is it tries to suck air out of that brake booster, so it makes a vacuum in the brake booster, so that when you push your brake pedal, atmospheric pressure acts on the diaphragm and gives you more surface area to push on the brakes. That's how it works. And that's how I knew when I pressed the pedal at the top of the hill, I said, well, these brakes aren't very good. Because if you remember from previous videos when we've looked at the rotors and the pads, everything was perfect. No rust, nothing. So we knew that it's got to be something to the servo. And to double check that, like I say, now we've put a vacuum on it and it's not pulling very strong vacuum. It is pulling a little bit, but that's because it's going through a crack and weaving its way through the system. I think what I'll do, just when I finish this video, we'll reset up that test, and I'll take the camera off the stand and we'll go really close, and hopefully the microphone in here will pick it up. But because the vacuum pump is fastened to the engine block and it's a piston pulling backwards and forwards, it sucks air from the servo and evacuates the air into the engine block. In other words, it's trying to push all that air that it gets from the free running air outside, because there's a crack in the servo, into the crankcases, and it can't get out apart from coming through the hose on the top of here into this cyclone separator. The cyclone separator can't catch up with it. It can't pull the oil out. And because in the top of your rocker box here, the valves are splashing oil out like nobody's business. It gets everywhere, and a lot of you people know that these rocker boxes, I nearly said the wrong rude word there, these rocker boxes leak. that's because they're splashing oil. Now here's a rocker box that we've got off here, and you can see this is the most stupid design ever. The oil, you know, when it's splashing about, great big droplets of oil can get sucked into there, because that's what's going to happen now. Your air intake's coming out this way, and you've got positive crankcase pressure from that, you know, that vacuum pump. It's going to push oil through here. It hasn't got a hope in hell's chance of not going anywhere. Why didn't they put a baffle across here? In fact, that's what I'm thinking about doing. There are two little spots here, here and here, and I'm thinking about maybe drilling this and putting a little metal plate just across here. A little metal plate. I thought about putting some wire wool in it at first, but I thought, well, no, because that's going to get really blocked up. But that would have been perfect. But it wouldn't be able to drain out. You want something to stop the oil actually hitting this tube, but allow the crankcase ventilation fumes to come out. These cyclone separators work quite well for fumes, like oily fumes in your engine, but it can't cope with that. It gets overwhelmed with oil and it can't cope, and then the oil starts coming out of here, this tube here, and gets sucked into your air intake. Easy, isn't it? I mean, but that's all it takes, is a little baffle. In the Rover V8s, if anybody's taken the Rover V8 apart, you'll see at the on the top edge of the rocker box, on both sides there's metal plates so that oil doesn't splash out of the breathers. Why couldn't they have done it with this? It's just ridiculous. So I think that's what I'll do, and if that's successful, we'll just TIG weld a plate on, a little aluminium plate in here. You don't really want to screw anything. I thought about self-tappers at the beginning, but I thought, well, self-tappers might just sort of work their way loose and drop into the engine. And then I thought about doing maybe a couple of little nuts and bolts. I still could do that, but then you got problems with sealing. So I might just put a little plate just across there with an air gap, but it stops direct oil hitting that tube. So when oil is splashing about, it's going to hit the plate and then drop into the engine. So simple, it's stupid. So there we are. Am I going to mess about with that servo and put a new O-ring in it and stuff like that? No, I'm not going to bother. I know it's lazy, but time's money. I'm going to put a new servo on that and a new master cylinder. Why? Because the plastic on the master cylinder is starting to look a bit brittle, and we've already covered this once before. It seems to be that these cars from Africa and things like this do suffer from brittly type of plastic, and the owners asked me to change the expansion tank and the washer bottle thing, and we've got a lot of bits and pieces to replace. But the thing is about this, I'm quite happy with this engine. It started at what, minus 13, minus 12, minus 13 this morning, with glow plugs, with, you know, not Canadian diesel in it, and thick oil. So I mean, it's done very, very well. So that's a good sign that it's okay. Now, going back to my pressure tester, we did test the pressure tester, and last time out it was working fine. But anyway, when JP and we had it all in bits, we had all the lines in bits, and we came across a Schreider valve, like a tyre valve, inside. And we thought, I wonder if that, we thought maybe that's its problem. The valve's deteriorating and it's not, so a few people had noticed that the gauge had actually gone up and then it was dropping back down again. So I think so what we've done is change that and it should be all right. But like I say, the glow plug's perfect now, no problem at all, and that's how a 300 TDI should start, even these, you know, extreme weather conditions. But the oil, the owners asked me to change the turbo and do this, that and the other, but I don't know. I don't think this engine's done that many miles, to be honest. I really don't think it's done that many miles. So that's the end of my shopping list for this one. I know what to buy now. We're going to put a timing belt on it, and we're going to do the rear crankshaft seal, but I don't think I'm going to do anything else. It's just running really good. You know, you could take everything to bits if you want and waste a lot of time and money, but why bother? It seems to be all right to me. I don't know. Anyway, that's how you can check very carefully and very easily what's a problem. Just check that servo. Now, a lot of you won't have a vacuum pump like mine, but I don't know. You could even put a tube on and start sucking it out, I suppose, but I don't know. If you can keep sucking and sucking and sucking, then you know that it's got a leak. They're very... You see, that while I'm on at this, there is a tiniest O-ring on the back of those master cylinders. I've actually played around before and tried to put a bit thicker one on, and I got into all sorts of troubles with it, so I didn't bother after that, because they're only really... Well, we took one to bits once of these servos, and they're really like just a bit of tin. And with the constant pressure from your pedal, the bloody things crack like crazy. The other ones are far, far better. Anyway, that's it. Not a bad job to replace. We'll do that on another day. I've also started to do the heater, just to give you a little, you know, pre-warning. The heater's buggered as well. Right, up like that. Get that oil sorted out. Oh, now you're all running out to your garages now checking your servos, but it is a tricky one. See you later. Ta-ra.